Yes. Okay. Fantastic. So welcome to how to make more sales before, during, and after vendor events. My goal here is to make sure that we're not just making money the day of the event, we are making money all the way through because of just one sales opportunity you have. And so, like I said, those of you who are joining me live on Zoom, I'm so excited because we do get a private Q&A session afterwards. So write down any questions you have. Make sure you save them because I am here to make sure that you are able to implement this in whatever you do. And as we go into this, oftentimes when we rely on vendor events, it's hard to make money year round, right? You're reliant on those Saturdays or those Sundays to get you that peak of money. But what if you could make that money year round, whether you had vendor events lined up or not? So this strategy is not a make money online and would never have to do a vendor event again. But what it is it's leveraging the few vendor events that you will have to help you make more sales throughout the year. And your time is precious. We've all got stuff going on. We've got grandkids, we've got aging parents, we've got travel that we want to do. Maybe you have another job. And working weekends and doing vendor events every weekends can be exhausting, especially if you have a ton of product or display materials to carry with you. And we don't want to do more than that if we don't have to. But right now, that is where the sales are. That's where the money comes from. And I know for a fact, a few of the people who are coming on live, almost all of their revenue comes from vendor events. But we don't want to have to keep doing that if we don't need to. And if you're here, it's probably because you have big dreams for your business. You want to create something that's going to provide that income that you want, that's providing you the creative outlet that you're desiring. And that is helping more people, right? Almost all of us are putting something out in the world that we think is beneficial, that we think is valuable. And so how can we just make that a reality for you? Like I said, we're not doing sell everything online without any effort, right? You can't just break free from relying on nonstop vendor events. That is very hard to do. And oftentimes I'll see people wish that they could stop doing vendor events, wish they could just sell online, but they're not sure what that process looks like. Or maybe you're going to these vendor events and you see other makers who are bringing in sales online and in person, and it looks so easy. I don't know how many times I have gone to shows in the past and I see these yarn dyers and they're bringing in so much money at the show, and then they tell me that they're making their sales online throughout the week as well. And, wishing like, oh my gosh, I wish that I knew how they were doing that. And you want to find a way to make sales every month without losing those weekends. You want to be able to say, like, I'm going to sleep in on a Saturday, or I'm going to stay out late at a Friday night music event, or I would like to work in my garden this week. I would like time to do that while the weather is good. And you've probably tried some or all of the following. I'd love for you to just drop in the comment or raise your hand if you've tried any of these. Raffling off a free item at a show, running lives on Facebook and Instagram, discounting products, messaging your friends and family trying to get them to buy, changing up your table layout every week. That's a huge one that I will see a lot of times. Maybe if I just rearrange things, it'll work. Or then setting up a website and wondering why you're still not getting any sales to your website, right? So, let me know in the comments if this is, things that you have tried. Raise your hand. I know we've all been there, right? And so what if I told you that we don't have to do any of that? We could pick and choose the things that we're going to do to make more money without having to feel like we are, a multi-level marketing hunbot who is spamming everyone with Facebook messages, or making it your entire identity to just be selling your product. So all of that to welcome you into this workshop. If you have not met me before, it's so great to meet you. My name is Stephanie DeSonier. I am a business sales and production strategist. So basically, I help product businesses understand how to take all of those marketing efforts and all of the resources you have in order to meet your revenue goals. I'm not a digital marketer. I don't do social media. I will never teach you how to make money on Facebook or Instagram. I will send you to someone else for that. But I do understand the psychology behind buying and how to make that work for you. and then how to marry all of that activity on the back end to creating the products in the most profitable way possible. And what I'm about to tell you, I wish I had learned when I was selling my products. When I first started, I had no idea what I was doing. It was pre internet resources, pre blogging. I was just kind of figuring it out on my own. And if I had had some of this information then, I would have grown so much faster. So in this presentation, I'm going to show you the 3 stages to selling with vendor events, because it's not just the event itself. So you're going to walk away knowing what events are for you, where you should be selling, how to increase sales at the event, and making sales 4 weeks afterwards, which is the secret sauce to this whole thing. So today we are building the foundation to making more money. You're not going to be able to stop doing vendor events right away, but we're going to make sure that those vendor events are making you more money. And are you wondering if you're even in the right place? Not sure if this will work for you? This specific training is designed for brand new crafters who are getting ready for their first show. You guys are going to get such a leg up on everybody else, as well as seasoned vendors who are just tired of traveling and would like to just relax a little bit more. And makers with very niche products who have very targeted audience, and even food vendors. So this is not even just, like knitting and crocheting and sewing stuff, but food produce as well. So grab a notebook, get ready to take some notes. We're going to go step by step, and we're about to get some really great details in here. So let's get started. So step 1, what events? Before we even get started in figuring out how we're going to make more money from vendor events, I want to take some time to figure out what events we're actually going to be doing. So I would love for you to drop in the comments, drop a number if you have done any of these events, or drop, what other events you have tried, church festivals, farm markets, first Friday, second Saturday, third Saturday kind of things, PTO fundraisers in, the school craft shows, fine arts events, or anything else. I would love to hear where you are currently or hope to be selling your products. So we've got 6, so arts events, church festivals, farm markets. Okay, so a good little variety there. And, who here has kind of just applied for any event that you could get into at some point? You're just trying to get your products in front of people. The biggest challenge I see is when makers are starting out, they are often looking at what vendor events are there in my town? Where can I get a booth for $20, for $30, $40 and set up? And oftentimes then what happens is I will see my makers get very, very frustrated because they will spend all day Saturday at like a PTO spring craft show or a church festival, and they will only make maybe their booth fee back plus a little bit extra. Or, just walk away feeling really frustrated they weren't getting a lot of traction. And the biggest challenge I see is when we're looking at vendor events, the first thing you need to do is get very specific on where your buyers like to shop. Okay. And oftentimes, oftentimes people say, well, anyone could be my customer because anyone wants to get healthy, or anyone wants better products for their bodies, or anyone could use soap to clean their bodies. Anyone could, buy handmade or hand crocheted gifts for kids. But the reality is, while anybody could, there is a specific audience that you need to be talking to and a specific buyer group that you need to be talking to. And so where do those people go to shop? So for instance, I made project bags for knitters and crocheters. So it was cotton bags that were sewn specifically for that audience. And what I learned very, very quickly is that the Christmas markets at the high school or the local church shows were not for me. I would spend all of that time setting up. I would spend 8 hours at this event, and I would make about $100, $150. And for me, that didn't cover my booth fee and my cost of materials. I made no money for my time, and I was exhausted with nothing to show for it. So I had to get very specific on who my audience was, and I needed to show up where knitters were showing up, which was yarn festivals and fiber shows, which had a higher cost of entry, but also had significantly higher sales for me. And by changing the show I went to, I went from making about $150 at a time to making $1,500 to $3,000 at a time. And that was strictly by changing where I showed up. So the first thing is where your buyers like to shop. And if you're not sure if you're not sure who your buyers are, then that is a really great conversation that I would love to have with you. So if you check out my free Facebook group, we're always having conversations on that. But get specific on what people like to buy your products and have the money to buy your products. So I know Gail here sells kombucha, and so for her, a church craft show might do okay, but really for her, it might be like a food and beverage festival, or the high-end farmers markets work really well for her. I do know that because the people at the farmers markets are looking for high quality, locally produced things, whereas a church craft show isn't really necessarily going to be the great audience for her. If we have a fine art photographer, beautiful photographs in amazing frames, those are not going to do as well at like a Christmas market because people are there buying gifts. And people don't usually buy large scale artwork and photography as a gift at one of those things. So that person might not do as well at a Christmas show, but would do very, very well at a high end like summer art festival. So get clear on where your buyers are shopping. Another great example, maybe you sell mystery book bundles. So, you like wrap the books in the brown paper bag and people don't know what they're buying. They might get sales at every event. But again, who are the kind of people buying those books? They might do better at, like a Comic-Con kind of event or a niche festival. So if they do mystery book bundles and they go to like a mystery and oddities festival, that might work better for them. So really digging down onto who your customer is. And, being able to do this allows us to pick and choose only events full of buyers looking for exactly what you have to offer. We're not going everywhere. We're not doing everything. We're getting very specific. Who are my buyers and who are my buyers with money who are looking to spend? Social media is not the only way to sell, and it is not even the way that I usually like to sell my physical products. You'll see me selling, my programs on social media, but my physical products do not rely on that. And so I don't use it for selling, but what I do use it for is promotion. And so in between vendor events, you might be posting on a Facebook page a couple of times, but that's the extent of your marketing. And that's, really frustrating and you're not going to see any traction. But if we use it as a way to promote ourselves in between events, that works out so much better. And so the best way to do about this is to talk about the event. Event organizers, they make money by having a successful event and selling spots for their next one. And how do they have a successful event? By having people show up. And how do you have a successful event? By having people show up. And so one of the best strategies that I've seen is to talk about the event. So anytime an organizer puts up a post highlighting an upcoming event, my business would share it. And it wasn't even just posts about me. Any post they made about the event, I would share it because my audience, if they're going to be there to support me, they might want to support the other people too, or they might know people who are interested in it. And I recently attended an event where the only reason I knew about it is because a friend of mine had marked interested on a Facebook page. And that was it. And so the best way to really start leveraging your ability to make money is share everything that organizer does. Really great organizers will even send you example text for emails or social media graphics to share to your audience and use those. Put them out there as much as you can. And the best part is if an organizer sees you promoting their event, they're more likely to promote you as well. It's very much a win-win. And like, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So anytime you're signed up for an event, make sure you're sharing it, tagging the organizer or the organizing business in it. And then also, just making sure that they know, hey, I'm so excited for this. I shared about the event over on my page. It would be great if you could give it a little bit of love to increase visibility. Make sure that they know that you're sharing it and supporting it. Make sure that your followers know. Facebook does a great job of only showing people about 10% of anything we put out there. So you cannot talk enough about your upcoming events. really, your audience wants to find you. And if we don't tell them where you're going to be, they're not going to be able to find you. And so our focus should be letting them know all the different ways they can connect with us in person, get our products. Even if they can buy our products online, people love buying them in person. And me personally, as a product vendor, I love it when they buy in person because I can usually get them to add a couple things before they finish checking out. So I want to make sure they're finding me in person as well. So now you are at the vendor event. So this is a photo of one of my booths, all set up and ready to go. But what do you do once you are set up and ready to go? You've got your product out there. You've got your coffee. You're ready for the day. What can you do during the event to maximize the likelihood of sales? Now, some of these are probably going to be tips that you've heard before, but also I think it's worth repeating and having that reaffirmed to you that these are strategies that work when they're done. The first one sounds kind of dumb and easy, but invite them in. Free candy is a really easy one. Dump some Hershey Kisses in a bowl, have it somewhere in your booth, and as they're walking by, offer them a piece of candy. Stickers are another really great one, especially if you are the kind of business that doesn't cater to children, but is open to children, right? So if you are crocheting a variety of things, including stuffed animals, stickers, or candy in there gets the kid in, and getting the kid in gets the buyer in. And that's what we really want. I'm not saying we're manipulating kids, but I'm saying we're leveraging the fact that they're there. And it has worked on me. So I have been the parent that has gotten suckered in by some candy in a crochet booth. But you could also do other things. If you're doing an outside event in the summer, having these those mini water bottles, have free water bottles and like an ice cooler for people. You might spend $20 on something like that, but it gets people in, it gets that reciprocity going because you've just given them something for free that they need. Now they're more likely to spend with you. I've gone to an arts festival in July where I've basically been dying. And if a vendor was like, hey, we have free water, come in and grab a bottle, I would drop $30 or $40 with them in a heartbeat then. But it doesn't even have to be, these free things. Sometimes you could set up a little charging station in your booth. If it's a big event, if there's not a lot of cell signal, I have an Anchor like battery pack that has like 24 hours of charging life in it. So I'll set up hey, charge your phone while you browse. So now they're hanging out while their phone's charging a little bit. But what can you offer them for free or low cost that gets them into your space, that gets them engaging with you and buying or at least feeling the reciprocity? You can also provide an incentive to buy. So we talked about that at the beginning. I am not a huge fan of discounting just for the sake of discounting, but sometimes I'll do a show only discount. And what I really like about this is sometimes I'll do a flash sale discount where I will write down a price on a notebook. I will post a picture of that on Instagram and I'll say, hey, if you stop by my booth today between 10 and 2, you'll get an extra 20% off of these products, right? I'm incentivizing my audience to show up. I'm incentivizing them to buy. If you have limited stock, make sure people know that. Make sure like, hey, this is on my inventory. It's not going on my website. Grab it now if you're interested. Bundle packages are also a really good opportunity. So I know Gail sells like 6-packs of her kombucha at an event at the farmer's market. So you're bundling your package there. But do you have things that you can pre-bundle and sell at these events? Again, making it really easy for people to grab and go and buy. And like I said, these are not always my favorite strategies, but they are strategies that work. Now, my favorite strategy is other vendors. Engage with the other vendors, talk with them, connect with them. I love making recommendations. If a customer comes into my booth and they're looking for something and I don't have it, I'll say, that's not something I carry, but I know so-and-so 3 booths down and 2 over, she sells those and she does a really great job. I know you'll love them. Recommending yarn dyers that were my favorites was always a really, hey, have you stopped by so-and-so's booth yet? Make sure you go check her out. She does a really great job because we're building those relationships. And by referring customers to a vendor, we're building that kind of reciprocity again. They're more willing to connect with us, see what we have to offer, and refer their customers back. And by doing this, I love to build a referral network. Those relationships and those connections mean that we're cross-referring all over the place. They know that I'm the go-to project bag person. I know if you want natural dyed yarns, you go here. I know if you want stuff that's super bright, you go there. So maybe if you're at a farmer's market, you'd be like, hey, I have all of these really great locally grown microgreens, but if you're looking for some high quality grass-fed meat, you should go to this person. And if you're looking for a drink, go to this person. But building the relationship with the vendors too while you do that. Don't just refer people out to them. Connect with those vendors and say, hey, I really love sending my customers to other people, would love to connect, get your name, find out what you have to offer so that I can make sure that I'm sending the right people over to you. And by doing that, we build those relationships that are going to get those referrals going as well. And the final one, and I will say, probably 75% of you do this, and then 10% of you do something with it. But you need to get their information, get their name, get their email address, get them on a mailing list. So I want you to drop in the comments if you collect their information, even if you don't use it. Do you get names and email addresses at vendor events? Just a yes or a no or not yet. Because this is a vital step to get us to the third phase that most people are really not capitalizing on. So we've got one person saying they do, a couple people. Someone says they feel shady asking. Yes. Okay, we're gonna talk about why you feel shady and how we can work on that. So we got a couple of people who are doing that. So see what? Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go back. It's very easy to feel uncomfortable asking for contact information. When I would vend at events, I had a friend who sold yarn, and she was sometimes in the booth next to me, sometimes further away. But every time I would hear her say, hey, if you're interested, sign up for my mailing list. Don't worry, I'm not going to spam you with emails all the time. I'll only email you if I'm running a sale. And that feels like the right thing to say, right? Like, drop a yes in the comments if you're like, yeah, like I don't want to send them a lot of emails. That feels like I'll only let you know when you're going to get a discount, because I see that a lot. I'm sorry, my throat's going really dry today. What happens is you are now telling this person, I will only email you when I want money from you. If I'm only emailing you when I have a sale, then I'm only reaching out to you when I want something. And that's not the relationship we want to build. And so that's not the phrase we want to use at events. But what you want to do at events is say, hey, I would love to stay connected outside of just these vendor events. Sign up for my mailing list where I share all kinds of behind the scenes and inside tips and stories with my community. You see how that's different? We're going from I'll only talk to you when I want to sell to you to I would love to build a relationship with you. And I know some of you are probably like, oh, cool. So now I have to figure out how to write emails and I have to share stuff in emails, and I do not have time for that. We're going to talk about that because it doesn't have to be that hard either. But the difference is inviting them in to be a part of a community to connect with you. That's going to feel a lot better to them. And you can also offer incentives to joining your email list. Sometimes I had a candle maker where if you signed up for their email list at their booth, you got 10% off of whatever you purchased that day with them. So you sign up on their email list, you get a discount on buying in their stand. So it was like a nice little win-win. You could also offer, I had someone who, if you sign up for their email list, you got a free sticker. Like he sold prints of his pen and ink drawings. But if you sign up for his email list, he had these like cute little mini stickers of some of his stuff that he'd give away. So you can incentivize them to sign up for your list. That's fine. But also just really focusing on the relationship building, because while vendor events are great, vendor events really should be used to grow your audience. I want you to make money at them, but I really want you to use them to grow your audience so we can make more money later. And so if you're not already gathering their information, definitely start doing that. It doesn't have to be complicated. A little sign-up sheet, offering them, like I said, a little motivation, especially if they're already buying from you. Say, hey, thank you so much for supporting my business. I would love to stay connected. Make sure you sign up for my email list, so that you can always stay up to date on whatever we're doing, where we're going to be next, et cetera, et cetera. I don't drive them to my Facebook page. I don't drive them to my Instagram, because you don't own those platforms. And at least if you have the email address, you always own that method of communication. Even if you use different email services, you have that list. And so that's why I never push people to social media. I get them on my email list first, and then from my email list, I invite them to my social media. So some of you, when you signed up for this, might have seen, like, on the thank you page, join my Facebook group. I didn't drive anyone to my Facebook group first, right? I made sure I got your email address first. So that's inside baseball talk there. Thank you for joining my email list. And so this is important, because this is where the sales keep going. We're not going to stop here. After the event, we want to keep making money. We've done all the hard work. Now let's get the easy money. So that contact information, we're going to start emailing them. And I know you're all like, oh, I didn't know this was going to be an email marketing training. Surprise! But it's important. This is one of the easiest ways to keep making money in your product business. You can't just have a website and expect the sales to come. You can't rely on Facebook and know that people are going to find you. So we're going to email. And in some of those first emails, I am going to invite them to connect with me. I'm going to welcome them to my email list. I'm going to thank them for wanting to learn more about me. I'm going to invite them to connect with me on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, so that we can keep the conversation going. But this way, you're now creating multiple touch points. Even if we don't own the other touch points, we have multiple areas to connect. But once they're on your email list and you've invited them in, welcomed them in, said connect with me and everywhere else, what do you say? I will tell you, content is everywhere, right? The best tool is sharing what other people share. I'm going to pick on Jo for a minute, because I know she sells dog treats. I literally just sent her a picture of my dogs waiting for her treats to use, because I know how valuable that is. But oftentimes, your customers are probably sharing about you. And if they're not, an email is a great way to say, hey, we would love for you to share your experience using our product or trying our food on social media. Feel free to tag us. Because once they do that, then you can use that content in your email. So one of my favorite things to do is a customer highlight email. Look at all these amazing customers who are loving our products. Go check them out, right? That's a really easy thing to do. And you don't really have to create the content. Someone else is doing it for you. Another great one is a behind the scenes tour. I use the word tour very broadly. If you crochet products, just a 30-second video of you crocheting something, or even a video of you setting up your booth at a vendor event. If you make a food, a video of you prepping the food process or packaging up all of your stuff to go to an event. But what is something you're doing behind the scenes? Now, for me, my project bag business, eventually I outsourced my manufacturing. I didn't physically make it anymore. So behind the scenes was hard for me. So what I did is I did a behind the scenes of me packaging up my orders all the time, because that was the content I had. So behind the scenes, it doesn't have to be just how you make the things, but what are some things you do? It could be just a video of you like tippy typing out an email to your audience about emailing your audience, right? Like, we could get very meta with this. Another way is talking about why your product is meaningful to you. Oftentimes we have started these businesses because of something important to us. We wanted to be healthier. We wanted our pets to be healthier. We wanted to simplify our lives. We wanted to brighten our world. We had children in our lives who we wanted to bring comfort to, and saw a bigger opportunity to comfort other children. So take some time to share that. And a really great way to do that is I use ChatGPT. I'll tell my story like in a little voice recorder, and I'll say, hey, clean this up and put it in a nice format for me to put in an email. So if you're like, I don't feel like typing all that out, that seems like a lot of work. I have arthritis. I do a voice recording, and then I just have ChatGPT clean it up. It's a really great way to leverage a tool that's available to you, but it's still your own words. But again, that's very motivating. That's very meaningful. That's going to make people feel like they connect with you and your products more. I worked with women who created an entire clothing line for like injection sites for chemo patients. Their whole product line was accessibility, so you're not having to mess around with your clothes there. But by telling their story, they were getting that stuff shared. Their emails were getting forwarded. They were having people buy, all because of that one story. Another great one is sharing complementary products by other makers. I talk about this a lot, but I did not dye yarn, but so many people in my industry were yarn dyers, and I would share their stuff all the time. In my emails, every month I would highlight a new yarn dyer because oftentimes I was knitting something with their yarn. So I'd show my current project and I would tag that yarn store in my email there. But sharing complementary products by other makers also shows that you are a resource for your audience. You are someone they want to know because you know other people that they need to know. And this gives you, again, really easy content. All you have to do is scroll through your Facebook and say, oh, you know what? I really loved connecting with this maker at vendor events and I want to share their stuff. I think my audience will like it. And it's not going to take sales from you. I never worry about, oh, well, if I promote someone else, that I'm not going to make the sales, because there is, contrary to, chaos that might be going on right now with people being, up and down about whether or not things are going right. The fact is there's more than enough to go around, and people might be spending their money a little more cautiously, but they're still going to be spending their money. And then my favorite one is create something once and then use it everywhere. Your audience wants to hear from you. So if you write a Facebook post, take that Facebook post, turn it into an email, and send that email out. You have about a 10% reach on Facebook. Email, you get about a 30% open rate, and the chances of those percentages being the same people is almost nothing. So don't be afraid that people are going to be tired of hearing the same thing, because oftentimes they're not even going to realize it's happening. I had a business coach person that I was following. It took me a year to realize that's what she was doing. I had no idea that she was just repurposing her Facebook posts to email, or vice versa. I don't even know which order it went in. And then in the emails, encourage deeper connections. Ask them to hit reply and share their favorite thing about your product, or what they would love to see next, what flavors they're interested in, or pictures of them using your product out and about. Get them to reply to your emails, because again, by replying, we're building connection. And really the biggest way to sustain growth is we want to have active participation versus passive vending. I don't want you to go to a vendor event, set up your table in front of you, and sit there and wait for people to come to you. I want you to be putting that information out there ahead of time. I want you to be pulling people in at the event with something that welcomes to your space. I want you to be gathering their information, and then I want you to build relationships on the back end that are going to drive more sales through your website. And so that's really the difference in whether or not you're going to make more money at vendor events. It's so easy to just wait for people to approach you, to keep yourself small, to keep yourself back, hope that they're going to find you. You need to be loud and proud about what you do and what you have to offer. You guys are creating amazing things, and I want to make sure you're letting people know about that. So some final thoughts on this. Make sure you choose the right event for you, because this is the first step to building sales. If you're not getting in front of the right people, you're not going to make the money that you want. And so really evaluate every event that you do and make sure that it's got the people who want your products, who need your products, and who are going to spend the money on your products. Because it may have people who want what you create, but they might not have the money to buy what you create. So like I said, those Christmas craft shows are a really great opportunity for some businesses. But if you're selling $300 and $400 products, even if it feels like the right people, it's not the right event, because they don't have $300 or $400 for a single product. They've got $300 or $400 to spend on small gifts for everyone in their family. So choose the right event first. And like I said, recognize where your customers will shop, not necessarily where you will go. You are not always your best customer. Your customers have much different motivators than you do. And so making sure you understand where they're going to be. Create a welcoming and encouraging space even for non-buyers. Invite them in, because even if they don't buy, they might share about you. They might tell their friend about you. Welcome them in, have them connect with you. Give them an opportunity to talk more about who you are and what you do. Build relationships with vendors. That referral network is so vital, and that is my number one tip. build those connections and those relationships, because not only are they going to help you share your product with people there, but they can also give you insights onto what other events are worth doing, right? Other vendors are attending all these other things, and you don't want to take a chance on an event if you don't know if it's going to turn out well. But if you've got a good friend who also vends and can let you know, that is valuable. And then keep the connection going through email, through social media, or even invitation-only events that you host. Figure out ways to keep people coming back to you outside of that single sales point, and build those connections and ask them to also share and refer you to their friends as well. Learn what your customers want to know about you, like I said, and then create that content and then reuse it. Right? People have fairly short-term memories. It's worth reintroducing yourself once a quarter, re-highlighting why your products are meaningful once a quarter. So don't be afraid to reuse old content. In fact, like this presentation I did 6 months ago, and no one here attended it 6 months ago. Don't be afraid to reuse content. So you've got the vendor sales system down, but what comes next, right? This is all about promoting, connecting, and selling strategies to make it easier than ever to create and make money. But I want you to be able to continue leveraging this to hit your growth goals. And I've worked one-on-one with makers and other clients, and oftentimes I get asked for templates and easy to follow plans because one-on-one calls are hard. Like, you all are taking time out of your day to join me today, which I love and is amazing. But imagine trying to do that every week to work with someone one-on-one in your business. So, being able to have something that women and makers could implement really became a passion of mine. I am a mom. I have 2 kids. I thought when they were little I had no time. They are now 8 and 10, and I have less time. I'm not sure how that happened, but it got worse. So I wanted other women, other moms, and honestly, like other caretakers. Everyone is responsible for taking care of someone or something else in their lives. And being able to fit all of this into your busy schedules is something that became very, very important to me. And so that is why I've created the Profitable Creators. And if you've not heard of Profitable Creators before, this is my program empowering makers to scale to and through their first 6 figures. It's a program designed to really help you take kind of the concepts we've implemented up to the next level. We work on shifting your mindset. I love my makers, but also oftentimes my makers and creatives really struggle with being the CEO of your business because you just love creating things. You just love helping people. And so how do we get that mindset shift to help you hit those revenue goals? And then my favorite thing, I love creating maps. And so we create a map for sales goals for the next 12 months. How do you actually reach what you're looking to achieve? And then my favorite is creating a sales strategy that fits your brand. Because like I said, you may not sell only at vendor events, you may sell only online, but how do you do something that feels genuine and authentic to you? And so Profitable Creators, my favorite thing about this program, it's not just for vendor events, although this is a huge part of what I love teaching, but it's designed to help you work on any sales channel. So Etsy, Fair, in-person, wholesale, consignment, these are strategies that are platform and sales avenue agnostic. And so what do you actually get out of this? So the first part is the maker mindset. My creatives, I love you all. You have such beautiful minds and creativity, but often it's so hard to really get into the mindset of making money with all of your creativity, of the things you bring into the world. And so the first phase is getting a mindset that allows us to marry our passion, our creativity, and our heart for helping people with our ability to provide an income for ourselves that is sustainable and scalable. Tim Andraka, he is the pen and ink artist I mentioned. He was one of my first Profitable Creator clients. It was so exciting to work with him because within 2 months of joining the program, he launched a Kickstarter for his artwork to create a comic book. We had a funding goal. We gave ourselves 3 weeks to hit it. He hit it in 36 hours by implementing the strategies that we talk about in this program, and even just some of the strategies I talked about before. And so that was really amazing to see. We knew we would hit his goal. We had no idea we would hit it that fast. The next part is setting goals you'll actually hit. A few of you have worked with me before. You know how I feel about goal setting, but it's not enough to set the goal. Now we have to figure out how to get you to the goal. And this is really where all the value comes in. We map out exactly what needs to happen and when to help you reach the goals in your business, but also taking into account your personal life. Every training I do, I will talk about how does your personal life, how do your personal needs fit into this? Because I never want anyone here to spend all of their time in their business trying to hustle forward. I want you to have a business that is supporting having a personal life. And Gail, you're featured in here. So Gail and I have worked together for years. And you know, we got to the point where Gail was having people staff vendor events. They were working with wholesale shops in the online sales. And you know, I maybe I won't ask Gail to speak up later, but it has been so wonderful supporting her specifically in growing her kombucha and now soup business. And so fun to support her through these resources. And then sales for creatives, because selling, like Joe said earlier, right? It feels sleazy, it feels weird, it feels uncomfortable. We're going to do genuine, authentic selling. We're going to be doing heart-led selling. I don't do MLM pitches. I don't do cold messaging. We use what's called, what I call the customer motivation method to create valuable experiences that generate more sales. Kelly Fitzpatrick was a gem artist. She did a lot of work with like gemstones. And it was so fun working with her. I don't even remember how we met. She came to me and she needed to be making $2,000 a month. And within 2 months, we went from basically nothing to that $2,000 goal just by implementing these systems regularly, and supported her cross-country move, buying a new car. I still follow everything she does. She's so amazing. But also, but wait, there's more. ChatGPT, AI, all of this is becoming more and more important. And so one of my bonus trainings is using AI in your business. How can you leverage AI to help you as a creative and a maker really build something that doesn't require a whole lot of time and attention and effort? And so I have some bonus trainings in there on using ChatGPT to streamline some systems, create some content, get some things moving for you, without having to be like a tech know-it-all, because as we talked about earlier, tech and I are not getting along these days. So I keep things simple for you because I need them simple for me. We also have a bonus masterclass. This one I'm really excited about. Alex Fleck is the owner of multiple subscription boxes. He is a Subly expert and he has a bonus masterclass training on how to add a subscription model to your business. So how can we get those recurring sales on a regular basis within our product-based business? And Lisa was another, she was an amazing artist I worked with. So fun. She does nature-inspired sculptures, which are so cool. And by working together, she, over the course of 6 months, took the jump from art as her side project to her full-time job. And she has been doing this full-time for 4 years now. And if you did all of this, you know, if all this did was to help you hit one goal, like where would your business be, right? Would this program be worth it if you could just meet one of those steps you have set out for yourself? You know, even if it just increased your sales by 10% and made you more comfortable selling, would that time be worth it? Or by freeing up free time by using some of these tools, by knowing what vendor events to spend your time on, and by moving some more of those sales to some more relational selling, would that be something worthwhile? You know, this course, I really want to make sure that this program brings value. I also want to make sure, though, it's not going to break the bank. But I realize that doing it alone is very, very hard. And that's why you all showed up today, right? We don't want to be alone in doing this. And so as part of this program, I have also started doing 2 monthly calls. Actually had one this morning. I'm going to have one next week because I want to make sure that you have access to someone who can answer your questions and also hold each other accountable or support one another as you are going through the process of building or growing or sustaining your business. And so the program involves the maker mindset, setting goals, sales for creatives, my AI training, the subscription model masterclass, and I actually forgot to talk about the social media for introverts. I have a bonus training by Kate Gilbert on how to use social media as an introvert. Didn't even talk about it, but she's amazing. You know, all of this. But also, we talked about emails, right? And I gave you some tips on how to do emails, but how can you make email easier? How can you actually get started? I'm also going to include my Email Made Easy mini course. This is a $47 value, but what this does is it takes you step by step on setting up emails, on getting that first welcome series going, and it gives you swipe emails for a variety of things. thank you emails, abandoned cart emails, everything you need to actually get started sending regular emails to your audience. And so, if that's something where you need to email, you understood like what we were talking about, but you're still not sure how to do it, this is a great value for you. It's a really great program. It walks you through setup on 2 different platforms. But again, most of the process is platform independent, regardless of who you use. I will also include a vendor event profit calculator. This is my favorite. I built it because I wanted to find out if I was actually making money at the end of the day. And so this calculator takes into account what it costs for you to make your products, what it costs for you to vent at that event, how much money you think you're going to make, and then how much of a profit you will actually have. I told you guys about, I made between $1,500 and $3,000 at an event. At one of my $3,000 events, I ran the numbers through this calculator and I realized I made a profit of $100. Right? So even though that event looked amazing up front, $3,000, because of all the costs associated with it, it actually was not worthwhile and I never did it again. So, again, you would get all of this, which is a total value of $3,000, right? This is a ton of content, a ton of material, 2 support calls a month. But I'm not going to charge you $3,000 because let's be honest, nobody has $3,000 right now, right? Like if I had $3,000 right now, if I were you, I would not be spending it on me. I'd be like, that's rent next month. That's my mortgage payment next month. So that's why this program, it's $497, right? And for some people that can still feel a little bit but honestly, there's so much content, there's so much support. $497 is such a great price for this. And so if you're interested or if you just want to check it out and learn more, scan the QR code here. Learn more about what Profitable Creators is. I think there's like 17 modules in there, all covering like how do we sell authentically? How do we actually measure our progress? And so I want you to stop wondering like, why not me? Why can't I achieve what these other women, what these other makers are doing? I want you to start building on everything we've done today and make this dream into a reality of a business. And of course, $497 can feel like a lot. I get it. No worries. I have a 100% money back guarantee. If you try this out for 30 days, you go through the materials and you're not seeing any results, I will refund your full payment because again, my goal is that you are successful and that you are feeling like you're making progress. And so I want to make sure that you do not feel like you are throwing money away on something. And I work so hard to make sure that you feel supported in this process. But let's be honest, it's time for a new approach, right? You can scale a business by bootstrapping everything. I did for 10 years. I learned everything on my own. If I had had any sort of resource like this available to me, I could have grown so much faster. I could have made so many fewer mistakes. And I really wish something like this had existed when I was starting my business. So like I said, you get everything in the program plus all of my bonuses, AI, the subscription model, social media for introverts, emailing like a pro, my vendor event calculator, all of that for $497. This is just another testimonial from a wonderful shop down the road, Tria Prima. She's so fun. I walk down every Friday for Focaccia Bread Friday. She's so great to work with. But you have 2 choices. So we can stick with the slow growth path. Take your time to find your way, which is valid. And if that's the path that feels more authentic and genuine to you, I understand and I will cheer you on. But also, if you feel like you need to make progress so much faster, let's learn and implement these new strategies that are designed for makers, right? Just like you. And I would love to help you grow together, to help you create the business you want, not the one you just happen to end up with. We'll build foundations for growth with your systems, and then we'll create your best sales yet. So once again, this is everything that's included in the program. Just a couple more testimonials. A seller who got Etsy back up and running with ChatGPT, a testimony for a woman who used my email training for her welcome series and started to get clicks and sales from something on that. I've loved working with everyone to implement these things. So I am going to pause the recording, stop sharing, maybe. Stop share. There we go. And I'm going to open it up to any questions that anyone has. I would love to hear if there's anything that you want clarity on or extra support.
Thanks, Stephanie. A great presentation and the invitation to the Profitable Creators. I love the title too, because that's
Mhm.
exactly hitting the nail on the head. So my question is again, it's time. And I don't know, it always feels to me when I go into a new area that it takes, like you said, that the learning curve, it's seems to be a much more extensive donation of time than I actually have. But I also need to get that learned, and out of
Yeah.
the way so I can move faster. So um, I wonder, can you share a little bit about like how long does it take to learn these things and then to start implementing? Because I should have been implementing all of this stuff last week.
Right, of course. Are you talking about the stuff like in the actual course?
Yes.
Yeah. So the course is designed where ideally, if you were dedicating about 4 to 6 hours a week, you would get through the entire program in a month. Realistically, what I see is it takes people about 6 months. But if you start implementing even just the first phase on the mindset, you'll start seeing returns on it. My recommendation usually, and I do this too, I set aside a 90-minute time block on my calendar for professional development. And whether that's my program or someone else's, what I found is that this is extremely integral into really growing your business and building on it. Which Ysoda, there's a couple of you here who have worked with me through other programs. The Covation Centers program is kind of a good example of it. Even if you just dedicated the 2 hours once a week that we did for the group calls, but use that for the trainings in here, you'll be able to see growth and results from that. And I will say it's not even a lot of like you don't have to do a lot of like back end tweaking. I don't have people updating websites, changing pictures, doing all this stuff. It's more about helping you think strategically about where you're investing your time. And so ultimately through this program, you'll start earning more and more time back because as you implement this, it makes things easier and faster.
Thank you. I know the last time we spoke, I actually did have a different mindset as far as where I wanted my business to go. But after coming back from this last trip,
Yeah.
things have switched like 180%, so degrees. So I am now into growing my business and like doing different things. So yeah, I think this is all very timely.
Oh, fantastic. And by the way, the pictures were beautiful of your trip.
Hmm.
Uh, Joe had a question. Thoughts on using a QR code to gather email addresses? Yes. I love the QR codes. Super easy. The big thing with a QR code is we don't want to keep it passive. We still want to direct people to joining our email list. So having it very visible, but then still asking everyone, hey, make sure you scan the QR code to get on my email list, et cetera, et cetera. MailChimp, I think, has a native like QR code thing, like a landing page QR code deal. So that's the only thing. It's just a little bit more tech. So my recommendations always start out as like very low tech,
Mhm.
and then we build from there. I don't want to assume everyone's operating on the same level of technological understanding, but QR codes are great. So thank you for that question, Joe.
So I just want to make a suggestion.
Yes.
A lot of times at my vendor events, especially at the Corning ones, the other vendors have something I want. And so what we will do, we'll switch. Like I'll give them a 6 pack of kombucha for the same price of like a big jar of honey or something like that. So
Yeah.
so you can do that too.
Yeah, bartering with other vendors is great. It's
Mhm.
even better if you barter something that they're going to use while they're at the vendor event.
Yes. Hmm.
So then everyone else is seeing them use it. Yeah, that's a great idea. And we didn't really touch on it a whole lot, but think through, how your space is set up. So I did mention, not hiding behind a table. If you have
Hmm.
the opportunity to create a space where people have to walk in to
Hmm.
look at your products or look at you, that act of walking towards you
Hmm.
creates this connection in our
It
brain
does.
that makes them more likely to engage and to buy.
Hmm.
Whereas a table is extremely easy to walk by. So just some thoughts, if you have the ability to change out that layout a bit.
Hmm. That's how I lay mine out.
Yeah. Yep. And sometimes you can't, right? Like sometimes you're limited by the
Mhm.
space.
Mhm.
But if you have the option of doing that, it's a really great way to change things around a bit.
Mhm.
And one thing I will say, so my Profitable Creators group, so in January, we had goal setting sessions on our accountability calls. So one of my favorite things is we all hopped on and talked about what we wanted to achieve in 2025. And it was really neat to see each other, like the makers in the group, like helping each other visualize what they wanted to
Mhm.
do and some ideas on where they wanted to go. That's one of my favorite parts of working with all of you beautiful, wonderful people. Love hearing what you all, really want to achieve in the world. Well, if anyone else doesn't have any questions, I will let you all go. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was so great to spend time with you. You will all get the replay link sent out in the next 24 hours. So if there's anything you wanted to rewatch or take additional notes on, feel free. But even if you don't join me in Profitable Creators, please stay connected on Facebook or on email. I would love to hear what you all have going on and what you all are up to. And also, if you found this workshop, this training valuable, it would also mean so much if you just share me with your network and your audience as well, and just let them know that, I try to do trainings like this on a regular basis, and would love to support other makers and creatives as well.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Is there a link for Profitable Creators? How would we sign up?
Yes, I will get that back up there real quick. Oh man, Zoom and we'll get there. Zoom and I'll get there. So here's the QR code for the link if you want to scan it. I will also put the link in the email that I send out with the replay as well. So would love to welcome you all in with me. Feel free to check it out.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Yep. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful Wednesday.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't know how to end the call now. Here we go.